Our first guest tonight is a Tony, Emmy, and Academy Award-winning actress you know from movies like Cape Fear and Tootsie and shows such as Feud and American Horror Story. She stars in Mother Play, which is in previews now and opens on Broadway April 25th at Second Stage's Hayes Theater. Please welcome back to the show the one, the only Jessica Lange, everybody. Hello and welcome back.
I know, it's nice to be here.
It's
Very
nice to have you back in the studio. It's nice to have you back on Broadway here in New York City.
Ah, yes, yeah.
So it's been about 8 years since you did a Long Day's Journey.
Right.
Does it take you about that long to forget how hard Broadway is?
Yes, actually. By then your memory starts to fade and you think, I can do this. Yeah, that's not. And then you're in the thick of it and you think, why did I sign up for this?
Now, Long Days was, I mean, that is a play that is over 4 hours. So
Yes.
at least this is not that. Does it make it
No.
seem a little easier because the running time is shorter?
Well, of course. I mean, you're not on stage for 4 hours every evening, but this play has a velocity to it that is just like exhausting because it never stops from the moment we're never off stage for more than like a fast, off-stage costume change or something like that. So it's a bit like running a sprint.
Right.
Rather than the marathon.
Right, and both are very hard.
Very hard.
This is, like you mentioned, a new play, Mother Play. It is about a mother and her 2 children over the course of 40 years.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's Paula Vogel, who is the playwright, is an amazing writer, and this is based on her experience, her mother, her brother, herself, and she tells this story of, it deals with, there's a lot of humor in it, so I don't want to make it sound like it's incredibly grim.
That is a problem with a lot of Broadway plays. Where you're like, also there are jokes.
There is a lot of laughter in the audience throughout the show, but it deals with really kind of heartbreaking familial experiences.
Well, it would be very funny if someone wrote a Broadway show about a family through 40 years and it was like, everything went great.
Yeah. Not an unhappy day.
Yeah, no incident for decade.
Yeah.
I wonder too, when you do Eugene O'Neill, obviously, the text is set, right? This is a new play. You're in previews.
Yes.
You obviously, the playwright is around. You must find out in real time what works, what doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time I've ever done a new play. I've done Williams, I've done O'Neill, and I remember after our first preview of Streetcar Named Desire, the director came back and addressed the cast and said, well, at least we know the play works. It's like...
That is a very funny note to give a cast.
Yes, it was very encouraging. But, with this, I mean, it's a brand new experience because I've never worked on a absolutely new play, something that's never been seen before, where the characters have not been created. And, you're just finding your way through. The great thing about having Paula is that she's there and it's kind of a living, breathing experience where things are changed that don't work or things are added. And yeah, so it's in working with Tina Landau and the other 2 actors, Celia Keenan-Bolger and Jim Parsons, has just been an extraordinary experience.
I would imagine, though, it does increase the level of difficulty in this preview process because... Based on that sigh, I can tell you disagree. No. Because, you obviously learn your lines for a play and then they're shifting and changing.
Yeah.
I'm sure even when you know it's for the better, the change.
Right.
It must just be a high wire.
It is a little bit of a high wire act. We're in our second week of previews now, just coming off one of those brutal 5-show weekends.
I can't believe you do 5 shows in a weekend. And then come and do a talk show on a Monday. Are you insane?
I am. I thought, who signed me up for this?
I went back and said hi to you and saw you getting in hair and makeup. I'm like, you should be in bed.
I know, I should be in bed. I know. But it's, yeah, you come in, you have notes, you know, things are changing, maybe a line, couple lines, or something's been cut. Yeah, so it's a very fluid process.
You're also playing someone you're playing someone over, 40 years.
Yes.
This is not, there are no prosthetics, there's no, giant makeup changes. Does that feel like a fun, as an actor, does it feel fun how am I going to affect my performance?
Yes,
to show
it actually has been a great challenge. I mean, well, you have experience with Grey Gardens, so.
Yeah. Thank you for remembering.
But we, when we were doing that, you'd be in the makeup chair for sometimes, 4 hours in the morning for prosthetics and everything else. Wigs, you alter the way you look. But with this, it has to be all through the physicality of the actor and through like the energy. Where is that energy placed? And the voice, of course, plays a huge part. So it's been, I mean, I've really enjoyed it. I like playing 37 for some reason. Somehow I still remember what that was like.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's what I mean. I'd also like to get back there, Jessica. I'm not lying to you. You also we see through some very innovative, set design work, 5 different apartments.
Yes.
Some are not particularly nice. What were your early days in New York City?
Oh my God.
You had one of the more memorable sublets I've heard. Why did someone...
I shouldn't even laugh. Well, I mean, I've had a few really sketchy apartments in New York.
Yeah.
One was a sublet in the West Village. I think at the time, and it was quite a nice apartment. I mean, unfurnished, and I had no furniture, so I lived there with no furniture for about a year's time. But the reason she offered it to me, because I was staying at somebody else's apartment in the building, and then she asked me if I wanted to sublet hers. It turns out she didn't want to live there anymore because she'd been stabbed in the hallway.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'd call a pretty good reason.
Yeah. And she did tell me, but I
that's nice that she told you, yeah.
I thought, well, lightning was not going to strike twice, so So I went ahead and signed up.
You should have a blog called Jessica's Real Estate Tips.
Yes. Yes.
Were you in New York when you first got cast in King Kong?
I was, yes. I was actually living in that apartment.
Oh, there you go. So it was good luck, too.
And
she was like, that one was like, I get stabbed, she gets King Kong.
Yeah, there's no justice. But yes, I was in New York. I was, I'm sure nobody remembers the Lion's Head. I was working as a waitress. Oh, one person. Working as a waitress at the Lion's Head, a good night would have been maybe $25. And somebody said to me, because they knew I was taking acting classes. I had just come back from Paris, from living in Paris for several years, and was taking acting classes. And somebody said, you should try modeling. And I thought, well, maybe I could make a little more money, besides waitressing. But I never did get a modeling job. But the person submitted me then for an audition for King Kong. And yeah, they flew me out there. Which was really exciting. I went to MGM, which had always been like this childhood fantasy, my favorite studio, and went in to do this screen test, and they took one look at me and didn't want to even put me on film. So, but I thought, well, hell, I've gotten a free trip to LA, and I mean, how bad is that? But then the agent back in New York said, you've flown her out there, just run some film. So they had the first AD just come down as kind of a,
It's just a courtesy
just
for
a
someone who got on the
courtesy.
airplane.
Yeah, and ran a little bit of film, and then they said, would you just wait here for a minute? And then the director showed up, and then a little while later, the producer showed up, and by the time I flew home, they'd given me the part.
That's
so,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, it is. We pulled the film because, you know, obviously so much, and there's a new King Kong film coming out soon. It's all.
I didn't know that.
It's a lot of CGI.
Yeah.
But yours was not. It was a animatronic hand that you spent a lot of the movie in.
A big hydraulic hand.
Yeah, there you go.
No wonder I look like I'm in distress.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, look like you hate the hand. You're like, no problem. Well, they made a great choice, and it is so wonderful to have you here
It's
in our
great to
studio.
see
Thank
you
you for
again.
being back. What an honor and delight. Jessica Lange, everybody. Mother plays in previews now. It opens on Broadway April 25th at Second Stage's Hayes Theater. We'll be right back to Corey Stoll.